Hello Color Maestros. Today I'm doing a bunch of little odds and ends of resin. I've got a few coasters to repair, a few I haven't resined yet. I'm going to resin some painting. I want to resin this vase. So it's kind of odds and ends today. I'm just kind of cleaning up. So I'm going to run you through it quickly as to what I do. What I've been using lately is magic resin. I like it. It's good. Not as expensive as some of the other ones, but it works good. I like it. So far, so good. Part A and Part B, you can get it directly from Magic Resin's website, or you can get it on Amazon as well. It's good. It's good. So it's mixed equal parts, 50-50. So I just measure out, I use 2 cups and I hold it up high so I can make sure it's the same amount. First part I pour into my mixing container, be careful here, is the thin one. There's one that's thinner, one that's thicker. I'm not sure which is which. One's the hardener and the other is the actual resin. So I always put the thin one in first because it's easier to make sure it's not stuck on the sides. So I do that first, get every little bit out. Resin is not cheap. Not bad though, really, when you look at what it ends up costing you for each piece. But it is, one of the more expensive things that we use, that we folks get into. Once I've got the thin one in, I pour in the thicker one. See how it's thicker? It's kind of like honey. Pour that in, again, scoop it every last little bit. All out. And then the real important thing is mixing it for the right amount of time. So I'm going to be stirring this for a full 3 minutes. Usually I go a little bit longer just to make sure. I've actually never had resin not set for me. It's always behaved really well. But I'm always very careful to make sure I mix it well and mix it for the full 3 minutes. So I'm not going to make you sit there for 3 minutes while I stir. But basically what I'm going to do is just keep stirring it. And keep scraping the sides to make sure that I get everything mixed and it doesn't, and that'll set up well. So I'll be back in about 3 or 4 minutes. Okay. I think we're good now. We're all mixed. There's air bubbles in it, but that's fine because I can get those out with the torch. So first thing I'm going to do is I'll do these coasters first. Can you see? Let me move you a bit. I'm trying to drop you. Where are we? There we go. Okay. So what I do, I've got the coasters are painted and the paint's dry. And then I tape the back. That's kind of important so that, because the resin does drip a little bit over the sides. It's really hard to get it off if you haven't got the tape on, but with the tape it's real easy. I'll have to do a video showing you how I finish off the things. So I'm just putting like, I don't know, what do you say, kind of a silver dollar's worth. Remember those back in the day? You can't get those anymore. So I just pour a little bit. I usually do about 4 at a time. Set my resin down, and then with my popsicle stick I just spread it around. Let the drips fall on one that's underneath, so I don't want to waste any resin. I just go like that. Just make sure I've got it really well covered, and then I go around with my finger and just smooth the edges. Make sure I've got all the edges done, and like that. See what I'm doing? Just going around the edges. And I just take a look in the light and make sure I've got it all. That looks good. Next. Same thing. Let the drips go on another coaster. That's good. You can feel with your finger. That's why I do it with my fingers, because I like to. Because you can feel make sure that you haven't missed any spots. Because sometimes you do. I'll show you an example. There we go. That looks pretty good. It feels good. Another one done. Let the resin drip over top. nice and easy. I kind of like doing this. I like doing coaster workshops because if I have, well, now I can only have 4 people at a time because of the COVID, but everybody does 3 sets, so 12 coasters, and of course they have to dry for about 10 days, and then I get to resin them all. So it's fun. I like days when I'm just kind of doing this kind of thing, and no pressure, no stress, just kind of, playing in with resin, and then I love it when people come and get their coasters because they look so good. Okay, that's got that. Those are all pretty good. I'm going to show you what happens when you miss a spot. Not the end of the world. Resin is pretty forgiving. I mean, it's a little bit tricky, but you can always re-resin stuff if you have a problem, if you get a dust or bug or something on it, you can do it. So I want to show you the other day, I don't know if you can see, there's a little spot there, right there, that corner. I missed that corner, and that'll never do. So you can't really just do a little spot. You got to do the whole thing. So I'm going to do another coat of resin on that. It doesn't have to be quite so thick, but you can't really, I found you can't really spot fix things, you kind of have to re-resin them. So these other 3 had not been done yet, so let's do those while I'm at it. A lot of people, they say you should sand it before you re-resin. We'll see what happens. I haven't had to do it very often, to tell you the truth. So I'm just going to go over this still. Here we go. I mean, that'll fill that in. So I didn't put quite as much resin on this, but it's the second coat. That looks good, and I fixed that little boo-boo in that corner. Now it's all covered up. Put a little extra there. Go do these real quick, and then I'll show you the next step. I've got another video with where I show you how I made these red coasters and stuff, so that'll be coming. My wonderful daughter, my exceptional daughter. I have an exceptional daughter and an exceptional son. My daughter is doing all my video editing for me, which I sure appreciate because I'd rather be painting, frankly. I spent 40 years at a computer doing stuff, and I'm done with that now. I got better things to do. There we go. One more. Spread it around. Drips go on the other coasters, that's fine. It all levels out and blends in. Okay. All good. Okay, and the next thing we need to do with those is torch it. And I'm gonna try and do one up close, so I want you to be able to see. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, I'm going to burn my hand if I do that. Anyway, you do this with the torch. You got to keep it at least 3 or 4 inches away. I don't think you can see it from there, but it's making all the little bubbles go away. I love this part because the colors just pop right out. And the bubbles go away. And I go back and do this 3 or 4 times over the course of about an hour. And by that time it's usually pretty set, so you don't need to worry you got the bubbles out. So that's coasters. That's kind of it. Oops, I see it. And you gotta keep an eye on, oh no, that was right in the paint. And see, make sure that you don't have any clumps falling on it or dust. That's a bit of a problem, but you know what? It's pretty hard to get it absolutely perfect. You can put it in boxes and do stuff like that, but I found, it doesn't really matter what you do. You're always going to get tiny little dust on the odd one. Not the end of the world. No one sees it but you. Okay, so now I'm going to try these paintings. These are small canvases. Whoops, I'm going to move the camera a bit so you can see. Try not to drop my camera in the resin. I drop it in the paint all the time. Okay, there we go. So, let's see if that's going to be enough. I hope. I do want to show you the vase, so I might scringe a little and come back and do these other two paintings later if I don't have enough resin mixed. These are smaller canvases, so we're pretty safe to use resin on them. If you use the bigger canvases, it can sag because of the weight of the resin, but I think this is going to be fine. These are pretty small. They're, I think, 8 by 8. Again, I'm just spreading it around. I haven't done this for, oh, there's a clump of something. I haven't done, oh, there's another clump. Oop. I haven't resin paintings like this for a long time, but it's pretty, it's kind of like just a big coaster, you know, kind of the same thing. That's the way I do it. I'm not putting tons on here. I'm just getting it almost like a quasi-varnish, you know? And then I'm going to do the same thing around the sides. Ah, look at that. Wow. Oops, oops, oops. A little bit harder to hold on to. One of the things I should mention is a lot of people, I got mixed feelings. I mean, I'm always about, you know, let's be careful. And wearing a respirator, I have a respirator. I don't use it for resin. This stuff, it doesn't smell. It's non-toxic. I don't know. Hopefully, well, I'm already, you know, in my 60s, so if I was 20, I'd probably wear a respirator because my lungs need to last a lot longer. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is for me. I'm a bit wild. But no, this stuff doesn't smell at all. Doesn't have any fumes. And I think they say, you know, it's non-toxic, you know, to each their own. Okay, that one's good. So let's see. Look at the difference. Look at the difference. I don't know if you can see in the, but the resin just makes it jump. I'm skimping a little bit on this because I really want to show you the vase. Sometimes I just stick my hands right in it. Spread it out. Resin is all self-leveling. It's not like, you know, when you're flooding your canvas with paint. If the paint is kind of thick, you got to make sure that you get it even. Not with resin. As long as you get it fully covered, it's going to spread out and flatten. You got to make sure your surface is flat. So my tables, I level them all as best I can. Sometimes just the canvas or the thing you're working on itself has a bit of a wow to it or something, so you end up chasing your drifting painting. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm just going to do once around the outside, make sure it all feels slippery so it's done. Look at that. Ah, I love it. Okay, so I'm going to torch this as well and get all the bubbles out. Wow, wow. So I'll be coming back to this from time to time and torching. Okay, so the other thing I want to make sure I have enough resin to show you, I can do that painting later, is the vase. So it's just a, you know, dollar store vase. There's a video on me making this one's of the vase. So with this, what I do is I pour a bit of, can you see? Oh, nope, you're out of the screen. Hold on. Ooh, I'm gonna have resin all over my phone. It won't be the first time. There we go. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna pour a bit of resin on the top. I think actually I might have enough to do that other painting. And then what I do, I just, with my hands, I just smooth it over. Yep, that's all I do with this. They come out gorgeous. Dipping my fingers in because I think I need a bit more. And kind of stretch it. I don't put a ton because I don't want it to all just run off. That's a waste. So I just make sure it's well covered. And you can tell by the feel of it. I think I got it all. Just go around the edge there, and I'll keep coming back and checking. I didn't put that much resin on it so that I shouldn't get many drips, but I'll keep checking it. I'll just touch up the drips. So I'm just going by feel, make sure I've got it all. And it looks like I'm going to have enough to do this last canvas of my triptych. So I'm going to put this little girl over here, and I'll bring this canvas over, put the rest of the resin on there. Oh, I saw a clump come down. I reuse this container for mixing, and sometimes maybe, no, it's okay. I always keep back a tiny little bit in case I go back over things, look over things, and I see where I missed a spot. I do sometimes. Again, I'm just spreading it around. Oops. Let's let those drips go on another piece instead of on my green garbage bag. You don't want to waste a drop. Okay, time to get my hands in there so I can feel what's going on. Sure I get it all. Just go around the outsides. Look at how it makes the painting jump though, eh? Man, I love this stuff. Yep, I think I got enough. Yay! There's all kinds of formulas as to how much you should mix, depending on what you want to do. Yeah, I'm not much one for rules, so I just kind of wing it. And I always find some, if I have resin left over, I always find something to pour it on. There we go, that's perfect. Oh, I'm loving these, okay. So, let's do some torching. Yeah, I gotta get a paper towel. This is my culinary torch. Get it, not Michael's, Amazon. So this one I haven't done it all yet, so I'm gonna torch that. That's the first one there. And I'm gonna give this a little torch too. You don't usually get air bubbles on these, but just in case. Let's go over this one again. You can see the bubbles. You guys probably can't see that on the camera, but I can see the little bubbles popping. So I know when I stop seeing that little shimmery poppy thing, I know that it's done. And I'm running out of gas. That's okay, I can fill it up. The butane you get, fill up the torches. 5 seconds, they say. 3 seconds, 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that'll fire it right up again. There we go. Now we're cooking with fire. Okay. So I'm just going over them again one more time I'll probably do that a few more times, just to make sure that got all the bubbles out. You don't want to get any closer than about 3 inches, because if you get a scorch, that's one of those things that's really hard to fix. You'd have to kind of sand the whole piece and start again. If you get too close with the torch, it's going to scorch on you. Looking good. Okay, so now I'm going to get a toothpick and just look around in the light. Got my sophisticated tool here, toothpick. I'm going to take a look on an angle and make sure there's no, you know, chunks or little pieces, pieces of dust. See, there's something there, a little piece of fuzz or something. That's a little bit of hardened resin, probably from my container. So you want to, you can see, there we go, so a tiny little thing. You can see things like that. They kind of stick out if you look on an angle. And because I did that little thing off, I'm going to put a little bit more resin there to fill in the little hole. So I'm going around now and seeing everything else. It looks pretty good. You don't see any troubles anywhere. So that's kind of what I do to resin. And I'm going to babysit this stuff for probably another hour or two. I'm going to keep checking for anything that might land on it. You have 2 or 3 hours that you can come back and, you know, add a little bit more resin or torch it again. If there's a little piece of dust, you can take it out and retorch. And then once, you know, sort of after 2 hours, yeah, what you see is what you're going to get. And if there is a problem, you just have to, you know, do another coat of resin. So I will come back and show you these pieces when they're all done, and we can see what the end result is. Okay, thanks folks. Oh, I see a spot there. There we go. Okay, I'll be babysitting for a little while, and then we'll come back and see the finished, dried, cured beauty. Okay, see you soon. Okay, so here they are, all cured. Nice and shiny, waterproof. So that's those ones. And here's the other little guy that I did. Kind of cool. And then there's the coasters. They always turn out really nice. And I put felt on the back. There's those other ones. Whoops. Copper really pops. And the vase, look at that, all nice and shiny. Yeah, sometimes I put felt on the bottom if it feels a bit rough, but sometimes I don't. And that's how I resin those different things. There you go. Fun.